When you hear the word Sabbath, what comes to mind? For a lot of us, it feels like some old, dusty rule, right? Something from way, way back. But what if I told you it's actually this incredible story? A journey that starts with a gift, gets turned into a rule, and then finds its way back again. Let's dive in, because this ancient idea might be way more relevant to our crazy 24/7 lives than you think. So, to get started, just think about this question for a second. We are so wired to believe that our story, our whole lives, begins with work, with a hustle, with doing something. But what if the original blueprint for humanity started from a totally different place? What if it all began not with doing, but with resting? And that leads us to probably the single most important idea we're going to talk about today. The Sabbath, at its heart, wasn't a command to follow, it was a gift to receive. And if you can get your head around that one little shift in perspective, trust me, it changes absolutely everything. So let's do it. Let's go all the way back to the beginning, back to that original design in Eden, to see what this gift actually looked like before it ever became a law. Okay, so the word itself is Shabbat. It's Hebrew, and it literally means to cease, to stop. But don't just think of this as, kicking your feet up on the couch. It's much more intentional than that. It's like actively hitting the pause button on your life. It's a deliberate choice to stop what you're doing and just be. Now, what's so wild is what this looked like back in Eden. I mean, in a world that was perfect, with no stress or exhaustion, rest wasn't about recovering from work. It was all about delight and just enjoying this unbroken fellowship with God. It was this moment where a piece of time itself was made holy, sacred. And here's the real kicker. Humanity's very first full day was a Sabbath. We started our existence not by doing, but by resting. But, of course, the story moves on. And this beautiful gift of rest it gets buried. It's almost completely lost under the crushing weight of slavery. You see, for generations, that 7-day rhythm was still kind of a memory in their culture. But in Egypt, under the constant, brutal thumb of slavery, they had zero control over their time. This idea of intentional, sacred rest, it was impossible. The gift was just buried under endless forced labor. And this is why that painful memory becomes the anchor when God brings the Sabbath back. He tells them, "Remember you were slaves." That experience, that feeling of bondage, gives rest this powerful new meaning: freedom. The Sabbath was now a weekly declaration that their work did not own them anymore. So how do you teach an entire nation of former slaves what it really means to be free and to trust? You don't just hand them another rule. No, you do something brilliant. You build the lesson right into their day-to-day survival with the manna miracle. Okay, so here's how it worked. It was super practical. For the first 5 days of the week, they'd go out and gather just enough food for that one day. Simple. But on day 6, they were supposed to gather twice as much. And on the 7th day, the Sabbath, they were told to do nothing, to just stay home and trust that what they'd already collected would be enough. And here is the genius of it. God didn't just tell them to trust him. He designed their entire situation to require it. Because on that 7th day, no manna showed up. If you went out looking for it, you found nothing. The only way you were going to eat was if you trusted in the provision from the day before. Trust wasn't just a nice idea. It was a necessity. This whole experience just layered the Sabbath with so much new meaning. It was, first of all, freedom training, a constant reminder that, hey, you are not slaves anymore. It was also trust training, a real-life demonstration that God would provide. It shaped their very identity as his people. And it introduced this radical idea that holiness could exist not just in a special place, but in a special piece of time. But as often happens, as the nation settled and grew, this lived experience of trust, it started to change. That gift, which was once so clear and liberating, started getting fenced in by all sorts of human regulations. And you can really see the tension right here. On one side, you have the original purpose: fellowship, freedom, trust. But over time, that got twisted into this heavy burden on the other side. A whole system of human rules, of restrictions, and this constant fear of not getting it right. The why was getting totally lost in the how. So this is the world that Jesus steps into, a world where this beautiful gift had become a heavy, heavy burden. And a huge part of his mission was to smash through those man-made regulations and get the Sabbath back to its original, life-giving heart. And he says this. This one line was just absolutely revolutionary. He completely flips the whole debate on its head. He's saying, look, the Sabbath was never meant to be a master that you serve. It's a gift. It's a tool that was designed for our benefit, for our good. And he didn't just say it, he lived it. He was constantly healing people on the Sabbath. He was feeding his disciples. He was teaching. He was showing everyone that the true spirit of the Sabbath wasn't about doing nothing, but about doing good, about acts of mercy and restoration. You see, he didn't come to abolish it. He came to fulfill it, to show us what it was for all along. All right, so as we start to pull all these different threads together, you can really see this single amazing story unfolding across thousands of years. This timeline really sums up the whole journey perfectly. It starts in Eden as a pure gift. It's retaught in the wilderness as a test of trust. It becomes a structure for their whole community. Then Jesus comes and restores its true purpose. And today, it stands as an open invitation for every single one of us. Because in the end, after all this time, the Sabbath really boils down to this one fundamental question. A question that's not just about one day of the week, but about a whole way of life, especially for us now. Will you have the courage to stop? To stop producing, to stop striving, to stop trying to control everything and just trust?